At this hour, Black Lives Matter activists are gathering on the streets of Chicago. The group now doing its best to shut down commerce along the busy Magnificent Mile. On Wednesday, demonstrators spread across several U.S. cities from Minneapolis to San Francisco to D.C. to Los Angeles. Protesters have called for a national day of action to highlight what organizers call a nationwide bias within police departments against the black community. Today's rallies also come as we hear for the first time the dispatch tapes in the deadly police shooting of Laquan McDonald. The recording reveals the police made repeated calls for a taser before one officer shot and killed McDonald. Listen here.
And again, I'm holding there until I get help with 815 Robert asking for a taser for armed defender with a knife. Anybody close? 40, they're more by car.
45 Robert, we're about 2 blocks away.
Let me know when he's in custody, guys.
Fired by the police.
It's shot
Fired by the police squad. Doors over here.
Now, the officer who shot McDonald is charged now with first-degree murder. Chicago activists have called for the mayor there, Rahm Emanuel, as well as the state's attorney, Anita Alvarez, to resign. Protesters today say they are planning peaceful protests. CNN's Ryan Young, he's actually live in Chicago along this protest route. So, Ryan, what are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Well, you know what, so far this is one of the smallest protests we've seen. This is about 75 to 100 people. They could not occupy the entire Michigan Avenue, so right now they've decided to stop in front of the Apple store. They said, we're going to shame people who go in the shop. We're going to walk you all the way around just so you can show you right in the middle of the Magnificent Mile. You can see all the officers that are lining up to make sure that people are safe as they block traffic. This has been going on for about an hour and a half now. As we walk back this direction, they tried to walk up Michigan Avenue. They pretty much have stopped the northbound traffic, but they were not able to stop both sides of traffic. You can see the signs that people have brought with different pictures showing people they believe were killed with interactions with police officers. But as we walk back this direction, you can see the effort now to block the front of the Apple store. Now, they said people can come out, but they can't go in. And that's what they've been saying for like the last 20 minutes as they stopped outside this Apple store. But you know, you think about the large crowds that we saw here after Black Friday that shut down this entire street. It's not that same size, and people were locking arms and making sure people couldn't shop throughout this area. There's more officers here now than protesters. And as we walk toward the front of the store, you can hear some of them with their signs. You can see Black Lives Matter. You can see there's no justice from the Department of Justice. You can also see Rahm failed us. They're also asking for people to resign. They want to see Anita Alvarez gone. They want to see the mayor gone. People come out here with their passions to talk about the fact that they want to see a system change here in Chicago. Do you mind talking to us real quick? I just want to know just the idea of what brought you out here on this day before Christmas.
Well, for one, I'm a young person, and the people who are majority being killed are young people, you know, millennials. And so I stand in the gap right now for people like Laquan McDonald, Sandra Bland, and also Rakia Boyd, because we cannot forget our black women that are being killed as well. And so right now I'm willing to sacrifice my Christmas Eve and my Christmas in order to stand in the gap for people who cannot speak for themselves right now.
What has it been like as you're walking along Michigan Avenue? I know this crowd's a little smaller than the last ones that we've seen, but what has it been like to walk with the people as they've been talking? What have they been talking about?
Well, for me, it's just good to see that people from various different backgrounds, from various different nationalities and races come together and know that we can work. When we work together, some change can definitely take place. So that's my thing. It's just us all coming together and being able to advocate for change.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. So you've seen that. The crowd is very multicultural. We've seen people from different backgrounds, obviously, here. People getting their voices out. It's all been peaceful so far. But once again, you see the crowd right now in front of the Apple store. This is the bulk of the protesters. Some folks have left, and now they're going to walk down to Water Tower, where they're making an announcement now. They say they're going to take this march through the streets one more time, blocking traffic, as you can hear them screaming and yelling at this point.
Ryan, you said that it's an economic boycott is what they're calling for in Chicago to make their voices heard. Let me know if you can even hear me amongst the crowd. But are they actually preventing people from going in and shopping? Are they preventing people from going in the Apple store?
shots in a cover. Only at this Apple store. So so far they haven't been able to stop anyone from going to the other stores as we start walking down the street here. But they haven't stopped people like they did on Black Friday. Black Friday was something different. There were thousands of people here, and they were interlocking their arms, and they were stopping people from going to stores. That's not happening this time. The Apple store, for whatever reason, was the target. They were able to block that store, but the other stores, not blocked so much. Yes, they're blocking traffic, but that's not really a big deal since the police have it covered up, and they're trying to make people go around the protest.
So Ryan, give us some perspective, and if you see another person to talk to, it's really interesting if we can even hear from others who are in this crowd, and let me know if you see anybody you want to speak with. But where are they headed now? Where are they going now?
We are headed down the Magnificent Mile. We're headed toward the Water Tower, which is a multi-level mall here in Chicago. Honestly, we didn't think they were going to go this far. We've walked this mile, and then we walked back toward the Apple store, and now someone in the group has decided, hey, let's walk this other direction. As we walk, you see people holding their signs, and some folks don't want to be on camera. We understand that. Other people have decided this is the place they want to be because they were saying 16 shots in a cover-up. So one of the things we've also seen is some people here with political flyers who are passing those out, who are talking to the crowd about making sure they register to vote. There is a big vote for Anita Alvarez coming up, and there are some folks who said they want to see her going as well. So maybe that will happen through this process, but once again, this is a much smaller crowd than we've experienced before in the streets of Chicago, and they've all maintained their distance and walking this path on Michigan Avenue.
You can see a sign just over your shoulder and kind of amongst the crowd of Rahm must go. That's one of the things that they want in these protests, as they've been calling for quite some time now, is for the mayor of Chicago to resign, Rahm Emanuel. But interestingly enough, the mayor's not even in Chicago right now.
No, he's on a vacation in Cuba. He took his family there, and of course he wasn't happy that got out. That happened during an interview where that information got out. He decided to go away for the holidays. I can tell you the folks here are still saying they want Rahm going. Now, as we try to talk to some of the people in the crowd, they've decided they believe that the media is not covering them the way they want to be covered. So you see some people with signs who've decided not to talk to us. That's okay, that's fine. Off camera, a lot of people are voicing their opinion, saying, hey, we do want Rahm going, but in a city of about 4 million people, if you only have 75 people protesting on the street, the idea of being able to push the mayor out of office doesn't seem like that's going to be a real feasibility plan here in terms of the numbers of people that you would need to sign a petition to get him out of office.
And so, Ryan, is there an end goal, not just of these protests, I'm just saying, where they're walking right now? Is there a plan? Do you know where they're going to end up? Is this crowd?
Let me
go ahead.
Let me turn you this way. So here we go. The water tower is just up this direction. Jake, point this direction. Show them the water tower. So that's the water tower here. Okay. And as of right now, they just decided, let's just go to the water tower. And, right then they all turn and they start going toward the water tower. We'll walk down this way. We'll block traffic all the way down. Now, in previous times,
they're blocking traffic as they're walking, right, Ryan?
Oh. Well, we're definitely blocking traffic. We're on Michigan Avenue. We're on the Magnificent Mile walking north, and we are headed toward the Water Tower, which is that multi-level mall. And like I said, so far, people have been able to continue shopping as we block traffic. You got a group of 75. Oh, here comes a new chant. They're coming. See, so this crowd is a little different than what we've noticed. Usually we have an organized group, about 5 or 6 folks who are organizing the crowd. This crowd is not as organized as the past protests that we've had. So what you've noticed is you have different leaders trying to take control of the crowd at different points. Hold on. If you don't mind, you've obviously been at several of these protests, and you're live right now. What do you want people to understand about why you guys are back out here once again?
I want people to understand that this whole society, I want people to understand that in society today is full of genocide and oppression, and we need a revolution immediately. Rahm Emanuel's not listening to us. He never did listen to us, even when we told him that we need to speak to him one-on-one. He does not listen to the community leaders. He only listens to the pastors. So we're going to shut it down all the way to New Year's.
So you believe that you're hoping this action will help change? You want Rahm Emanuel gone from office?
I want Rahm Emanuel and Anita Alvarez gone immediately, because if not, we're going to make a whole actual revolution, and we also have a method and approach for it.
So as you see, people are very passionate about the idea of why they're marching. They've talked about doing this through New Year's. There will be a big New Year's celebration here in Chicago, and there have been people talking about making sure that is blocked up as well. So it'll be interesting to see the actions that they decide to do on that New Year's Day as well.
Absolutely. Be careful there. You're doing a great job of talking, walking, directing the camera as that protest continues. So, Ryan, stay with it. We're going to come back to you. We'll get back to you in a little while. And also, obviously, as you're keeping an eye, you can see the police beside them. And we're going to be keeping an eye on that, of what becomes of that protest in Chicago. Also, this, though, ahead for us. Scores of activists are spending Christmas Eve, you see right there, trying to shut down Chicago's main shopping district. Protesters with the Black Lives Matter movement are marching along the Magnificent Mile. They want to draw attention to what they call a nationwide racial bias within police departments, mainly against African Americans. Today's rally also comes as we are hearing for the first time the dispatch audio tapes in the deadly police shooting of Laquan McDonald. The recording reveals police made repeated calls for a taser before one officer shot and killed McDonald. Listen.
And again, I'm holding here until I get help with a 15 robber asking for a taser for armed offender with a knife. Anybody close? 40, they're more by car.
45 robber, we're about 2 blocks away.
Let me know when he's in custody, guys.
Fired by the police.
It's shot
Fired by the police squad. Guns over here.
All right, let's focus more on the protests that are happening right now. Activists on the Magnificent Mile. Our Ryan Young is walking among the protesters. Also joining me right now is the civil rights attorney Charles Coleman Jr. and Illinois State Representative LaShawn K. Ford. Ryan, let's get to you. I think we have the video racked up, and I want to play it for our viewers, and you can tell me what happened. You'd said when we last came to you, it was pretty peaceful. It was very peaceful. There were some tense moments, though, among protesters and police. Tell me what happened.
Well, right here in front of the H&M store, you can see everybody actually rushed toward that door. They were going to block it off like they blocked off the Apple store. There were some people who were trying to get in, some people who were trying to get out, and at that point, the officers moved in to make sure those people who wanted to get in and get out could, and there was a little bit of pushing and shoving, but besides that, they were able to herd everyone out of the way. Now, just as you started this live shot, everyone started walking, so we were going to try to catch up with the rest of the protest, but we wanted to show you the front of the store. What certain groups of the protesters are doing is they're just blocking random stores as they're walking down. So they blocked the H&M store, now they're blocking the Columbia store, they're going to move down to the Top Shop. But this protest in number has decreased in size every half hour since the last time we talked to you. I think the group now is 35 to 40 people, and then sometimes it swells depending on what intersection that it gets to, because some people just get off the sidewalk, join the protest, and then 2 blocks down they get out of the protest and they go on about their business. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
The energy from this crowd is quite... Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, no, I was going to say the energy is different here because there have been some people who are saying, look, this is not the normal Black Lives Matter group that usually comes out in Chicago and protests. We've actually seen some of the energy that we normally notice from the crowd is not here because some of those vocal leaders, the ones who kind of take control of the crowd, have the plans, those folks haven't been here. Now, some of them have started to show up, and now you can start hearing the coordinated chants that we've grown accustomed to, the ones you can tell that have been practicing and they've come out, they get the crowd going, and they make sure that the crowd stays together, especially going from each intersection where they say 16 shots, 16 shots. That refocus has happened probably in the last 5 or 6 minutes, but the crowd is tremendously smaller than what it has been before. In fact, you see this group right here, and I want to turn this for you. Look here. Now look down Michigan Avenue. The other half of the protest has walked off. Like they're not even listening to the people with the bullhorns who are saying, giving the chance. So you can tell this is a fragmented protest.
Ryan, stick with us. I want to bring in, as we continue to look at these live images, because I really want to keep an eye on it. Let me bring in Charles Coleman, and as well as LaShawn K. Ford. So, Charles, let me bring you into this. Your background, you're a civil rights attorney. Talk to me what you think the impact of protests like this. They want a big impact. They want to get eyeballs for good reason, for reasons that they truly believe. So they take to this. What they want is an economic boycott. They want to impact commerce on the Magnificent Mile. What's the impact of it?
Well, I think the thing that we have to understand is that we've been seeing over and over again that America begins to pay attention when you hit people in the pocketbook. And that's something that's been age-old and time-tested. And it really became obvious when you look at the University of Missouri and what happened there with Jonathan Butler and the football team there. As soon as the football team got involved and commerce was affected, that's when action started to happen. That's when change began to occur. And so the economic boycott is intended to really not only boost awareness, but also serve as a catalyst to actual action. And that's why you're seeing, really hard areas of commerce being hit, because that's what protesters want. They want to draw attention to these things. They want to draw attention to areas that are economic, flow points, and really congest those and disrupt those, because that's the way that we are seeing people are going to act.
Do you think, Charles, that this protest has had varying numbers as Ryan Young on the ground has been watching it? They've grown and they've swelled and also shrank in size. Do you think it's going to have the impact that they want?
Well, I think you have to understand the importance of what protest is. Protest is space making. Protest is intended to essentially create space to have conversation and dialogue and action that's not already existing. And so it's hard to determine right now whether the protests that are taking place in Chicago will have an immediate impact. But I do think that if you're talking about economic impact and sort of disrupting and constricting the flow of commerce, they are going to be effective in that way. And I do think that that is going to ultimately, in the long term, push those conversations and use that space to create change. So while the impact, while the extent of the impact remains to be seen, I do think that it's very possible that this protest, in combination with all of the others, will definitely be effective.
And State Representative Ford, as Charles is talking about pushing the conversation, that's also something that you want to do. You are one of the state lawmakers that's trying to push for legislation that would allow for the recall of Mayor Emanuel, as these protesters are calling for. Last time we spoke, you had just introduced that legislation. Where do things stand now with that?
Well, Merry Christmas, Ms. Baldwin. I think that the people are really coming together in Chicago, and anything that it's going to be worthwhile will take time. This is the holiday season, and I want to thank the protesters for coming out today to stand up and protest for what they believe in. People are at home with their families, but these people out here are protesting because they believe that change must come. It's Christmas, and what better Christmas present than life, liberty, and the ability to pursue happiness in this country? And that's what they're fighting for.
When you really talk about what folks want, when they want to bring about change, and this one of the changes that obviously they're looking for here, as you and I have discussed, is getting the mayor out. I mean, Mayor Emanuel, he has made absolutely no suggestion that he was going to step down. In short of your legislation passing and there being what would necessarily be a long recall effort, what is going to change that?
Well, I think that the recall is a mechanism that we use and will be using to mobilize people to show the disenfranchisement of blacks and people, Latinos, and different people in the city, and show that we are together around a policy agenda. And I think that the more we come together around an issue that will not require you to be out in the streets all the time shutting down businesses, we will be able to show the world that we are not happy with the mayor of the city of Chicago, and he will feel the pressure, because with the sit-ins and the legislation, that's what great democracy is all about. So what we're going to see, the business community, they're losing money, and you're going to see that they're going to turn on the mayor as well. And so now you're going to have the working class people, the unemployed, and the business community saying enough is enough. We have to get our city back in order.
Let's end this conversation. Let's get back down to the street where all the action is. Let's get back to Ryan. So, Ryan, you're following these protests. I think you're walking with them again. It changes every moment. What's the plan? Where are they headed now?
Well, you know what? We thought they were going to try to make a move to Lakeshore Drive, but the police officers weren't having any part of that. They have that area blocked off, so that was the north end. Now we're going back south, back down toward Michigan Avenue. It's funny that I heard you guys talking about the mayor, because some people have been talking about that idea. One of the things they've said, I've heard a couple protesters say this, look, they're not looking for the mayor to resign, actually. Some people are holding signs. Some are saying, look, we really want Anita Alvarez gone, and they like to keep the pressure on the mayor to make significant changes throughout the city, because they understand someone's got to be left to kind of fix the issues. So it's kind of interesting. You talk to different people in the crowd, they have different ideas about how this goes. Of course, that's what people have different opinions, right? So, but one of the things they wanted to make sure is you understand that this crowd's different. It's black, it's white, it's Hispanic, and you see people who are literally shopping and they just stop shopping, they get off the and they come on the street and they start marching with people for 2-3 blocks. And then they get out and they go back to shopping. So it's kind of interesting to see how this crowd has changed in the last few hours. We've even seen almost like a shuffle of some people handing signs to others, and they give up their sign and someone else takes over. So it's kind of been interesting to watch as we turn this way, so you can see us going south on Michigan now, down the Magnificent Mile. We're right in front of the Banana Republic store and the Ralph Lauren store, but no one's going to those doors. It's very, you don't know why they're picking the certain stores they do to block every now and then. We're headed back toward the Apple store, so I can only imagine maybe we're going to block that store again when they get that way.
Can be just the natural kind of organic way that protests develop. We've been watching that, a lot of different opinions, a lot of different voices being heard there in that protest in Chicago. Ryan Young is in it. Ryan, thanks so much. Charles Coleman Jr., State Representative Ford, we appreciate your time. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Thanks so much. I want to take us back to Chicago now, where we've been monitoring breaking news throughout the hour. This protests that have been going on in Chicago's very busy shopping district, the Magnificent Mile. We're looking at, this really has been offering us a good perspective, kind of an eye from the sky to look at where the protesters are. Police have been following them all along. Our Ryan Young has been among the protesters, speaking with the protesters, following along with them. This has been going on for about 3 hours now almost. Ryan, what are you hearing now?
Yes, it has. At first, we thought they were going home, and they decided to stay. We've actually seen another group show up. Look, this is what they're trying to do. We're going back north now in Michigan, and the officers had it pretty much blocked off, but now protesters are trying to stop people from driving north on Michigan Avenue. So the police are trying to make sure people are safe. We have seen some slight pushing and shoving between officers and the people as they've wanted to take over traffic here, but for the most part, we haven't seen any arrests made at all. We've seen a lot of conversations. One of the things I want to point out, and I haven't talked about this before, a lot of the black officers who are out here, who are part of this patrol unit, they've been targeted by some of the protesters out here as well. They've been being yelled at and told, why are you standing with them? Why don't you come with us? That has been going on in the last few minutes. If you look now, this center of attraction here, as officers and everybody have been trying to make sure no one gets into the northbound lanes, you can see there's these negotiations that kind of happen in the middle of the street. About 10 minutes ago, there was the crowd got very upset when they thought an old woman was going to be arrested. That did not happen, but that made the tensions here very tight. So right now, it has been very peaceful, but they are still blocking the road on Michigan Avenue, and this doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. And it seems like some of the folks who are coming out here now have been watching TV, and they said they've wanted to join in. Kate?
And all of these protesters, their goal, they're trying to draw attention. They're trying to disrupt on Christmas Eve, to draw attention to what to. Some of them want Rahm Emanuel out. They want to draw attention to the Black Lives Matter movement. We're seeing it right there. You see the police right behind you. You see folks right behind you there as they continue those negotiations. Ryan Young has been in the middle of it. They're going to continue to monitor this throughout the day. Thank you all for joining us. The Lead with Jake Tapper takes over right now. Thanks all.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.